zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me.
Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, still in the forest of the middle of nowhere of Finland. I don't even know how to say where I am, so it doesn't even matter. But we got internet connection, at least for a little bit right now. And I do want to remind myself to say that my internet connection has been pretty sparse over the last few days as I've been over here. And will continue to be until probably tomorrow midday. So if you are trying to reach out to me, I promise I will get back to you. However, it just might be, might be another day or two or something like that, as I do figure out everything else. So with that said, as always, the best way to contact me is through Discord. Email is terrible. TradingView is even worse than terrible. And if you're using smoke signals, well, it's actually not the worst way to get contacted out here where I am currently. Anyways, I want to wish everyone a very happy holidays. Whether it's Christmas for you, whether it's well, I guess it's not Christmas anymore, but whether it's just another Thursday or it's a day after Christmas or it's Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever the fuck you celebrate. Hey man, I'm wishing you well. It's all about intent in my book, anyways. So I know some people can get a little bit on edge if you wish them like happy or wish them well on the wrong holiday. Well, you know what? It's all about intent, my friends, at least in my book. So with that said, hope you're having the best Thursday possible in this good old cryptocurrency world. We got plenty to talk about today with not just price analysis, but also the drama going on in this space, in fact. But actually, yeah, let's get into that right now. As I do want to follow up on that, I want to say a massive thank you as I scoot on over here to the live scene. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who had been retweeting this tweet. It's gone absolutely viral, and I've actually finally gotten a response back from YouTube, and it's really helped. So in case you're not aware about the situation, a bunch of crypto YouTubers have been getting striked on their channel, which basically means that you're kind of in like YouTube doghouse jail, kind of. And if you get too many strikes, if you get 3 strikes, then you're out. You're literally out for forever. And so, there's a lot of speculation as to what's going on with why this is happening, why people are getting striked, and I believe that at least a big part of it is due to this person right here who had been messaging me on Telegram through a couple different usernames. This one is at Astaroth. In fact, if you actually want to message him yourself, which I don't really suggest doing. I don't think that it's really worth talking to these kind of people. But he's at Astaroths with an S at the end of the name that you see right there. But basically, you can see right here that he messaged me yesterday saying, hey, after we took down Ivan on Tech, after he lost his YouTube, you are next. There's more to the message actually that I was advised by my lawyer not to spill, because if we do catch the guy, then it would be very helpful for, well, legal proceedings. But you never know what happens with that. I've reached out to Telegram, of course, as well, and YouTube as well. And YouTube actually did get back to me, like I said, and they said this is obvious harassment, and we will be looking into the likely bastardization of the YouTube algorithm that these people have been taking advantage of. So if you're not familiar with that, basically what people can do on YouTube is they can, mass report a video, and then YouTube will automatically flag the video after a certain threshold has been met, regardless of whether it was good or bad, just to kind of protect themselves, because they don't know. I can totally understand YouTube's stance on this. They don't know if it's going to be if it's legitimate or not, but they just imagine that, hey, if we get hundreds of flags, then we might as well just take it down to protect ourselves, and then we'll kind of deal with it later in a in a ticket or something like that. And I think that's what's probably going on right now. So this person also sent me a couple other messages through other accounts. I don't know if it really matters to go through them right here, but I just want to say massive thank you to everyone who retweeted that, everyone who was very supportive in this measure, and just want you to know that you actually did make a difference. I mean, YouTube's gotten back to us. It seems that the dialogue is open, not just for myself with YouTube, but also looks like Ivan on Tech and in Crypto News, Omar from Crypto News, and plenty of others who I'm not as familiar with, but they all seem like fine people to me. And I just want to say that massive thank you for that. It's really heartwarming to see, and you made a fucking difference, man. So massive thank you from me to you. On this holiday season. So again, I'm going to be doing my best to get most of my content back up. In the meantime, I do want to make sure that the situation's fully sorted before I do put the rest of my videos back up. But for now, everything pretty much is on private. So just kind of avert any potential issue with this. So I do apologize about any sort of inconvenience with that. But hey, it's the holiday season anyway, so hopefully you're not watching videos about how to gamble. I mean, trade Magic Internet money, and instead are doing something a little bit more productive. There hasn't really been too many trades to be had in this past session anyways. Okay, cool. Alrighty, what else do we want to talk about? Yes, Got a sale going on for the rest of the year. That's the next. How many days do we have on here? Hold on, it should be right here. Yeah, another week until the end of the year. Essentially, that's 20% off of all of the programs that I have. Well, I only have 2 programs right now. That would be the technical analysis program that you see right here, and the mastery options program that you see right here. No code is needed. It is automatically built in for the discount. And in fact, if you already are in one of the programs, you're actually given 25% off of any other programs that you go for as well, and that's also built in too. If you have any questions with that, definitely reach out to me, as I'm more than happy to, well, more than happy when I'm free to answer those questions. I understand that these programs can be massive financial and time commitments, so make sure that it's a good fit for you. As always, take advantage of my free content first, because you probably will find out that either A, you don't actually want to do this in in a more serious manner. It's not really for you. You have a job, which is completely understandable, or whatever the fuck you want to do is not this. You're not fully set on it. Or 2, well, maybe you just don't have the time to actually invest in these sorts of things. Both of these programs, literally each of them, are more than 35 hours long. I think the TA program is probably closing in on like 40 hours actually, and that is, you're not going to be able to make anything out of this program if you can't actually have the time to watch these videos, of course. And on top of that, they're really meant to be watched multiple times over the course of your career, actually, as your understanding deepens. The content is meant to be reviewed so that you can come to deeper understandings of the actual of the content in the base program. So yeah, as always though, I will let you be the decider of that. I'm not here to be your dad. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm also not your program advisor either. Just kind of letting you know what's up with these, and make sure it's a good fit as always. Okay, of course, these programs also do get you access into the private Discord community, the members only Discord community. So it's a little bit more of a curated community as well, and which is where I actually prioritize most of my time, as well. This place is getting a little bit bigger, and what else do we have? And also both these programs do come with their own set of proprietary indicators, of which the Jewel is not included either, but it will be coming back in the next couple days, I imagine. In fact, I need to speak with my developer today, and it might even be today actually. So I'll keep I'll keep you in the loop when that's ready. It should be relatively soon. And my God, man, I've already spoken too much. So last thing that I want to speak about before we get into the actual analysis is Jackie's group, Jackie's Psychology Mentoring, is live. I posted a video about it the other day, which is now private. I'm actually going to make that public after I post this video. And the links to his psychological mentoring group are open. They will be starting in early January. After the first week of January, there is 5 spots available. And again, that is a little bit more of a curated group as well. Make sure that it's for you. Reach out to Jackie if you have any sorts of questions, and of course, yeah, there we go. Anyways, let's get into the actual analysis now. So you can see that we're actually looking at a chart of gold, and gold is rallying. It's actually hit our first target from about a week ago, at a little bit above 1,500, and looking pretty damn good here. In fact, breaking this falling wedge to the upside, or if you want to call it a falling channel, I don't care what you call it. It's a nice little breakout over here, and the reason why I am putting the spotlight on this one today is because if we are seeing gold break out to the upside, typically we do see Bitcoin kind of move on the macro scale with it. So let's actually bring up a correlation coefficient right here and show the validity of this over time. And where is it? Right here. There it is. We're going to put this probably on a weekly as oh, whoops, sorry, hold on. Put this on a weekly as well for better accuracy of this. Right now it's currently on a daily, but you see down here in the bottom pane, if you're looking at this purple histogram, it's basically telling you the correlation of this asset to Bitcoin spot price action on Bitstamp. And on a daily, of course, going to be negative, but trends don't really, you're not going to really get like the long-term trend on a fucking daily. You need to go to like a month or a weekly or a monthly. And you can see right here on a weekly, we are pretty heavily correlated with gold. In fact, this is again Bitcoin to gold. So gold breaking out right here and having a nice move to the upside actually does bode well does bode quite well for Bitcoin over the weekly trajectory, if you want to call it that. Not on a day-to-day trajectory, not on like an hour-by-hour trajectory, but on a weekly, longer-term trend trajectory. Yes, it does. So I would say that this actually does align with, Jesus Christ, man, the little rat pack outside is getting quite excited. They're actually quite cute, man. I've sort of fallen in love with these little dogs, which I thought I'd always hate for the rest of my life. No, they're actually kind of nice. Anyways, looking at the weekly right here for gold, we are seeing this, actually have a legitimate breakout, and I would say that probably does get a free ride up to this last breakdown point of early November, somewhere right around 1515. I think that has more to go. So I would say that on the macro, Bitcoin probably typically also does meet this, and you know, again, going with our correlation coefficient, and also just realizing that these assets are usually correlated with each other. You know, again, on the macro. So this does align with kind of the vision that we were speaking about for yesterday for Bitcoin being very, very short term, looking for a pullback. I believe we've kind of already seen that perhaps, and then medium term, looking for some upside action. Now, upside action on Bitcoin, as we go over to the Bitcoin chart right on over here, is a little bit more. Actually, in fact, these charts do look relatively similar. Not that I'm suggesting that this is a fucking fractal, but it does meet kind of our vision with Bitcoin. On the very, very short term, we were looking for some down. I think that we've kind of gotten that down to 7,100. I still think that there could be another move down to like 7,000 or 6,900. But after that, I actually would be looking for a bounce on the medium term. And that medium term bounce probably brings us back up to the median of the range, I'd imagine. We have a lot of space to fill out over here, and I'm not necessarily making an assumption on where price action is going to find itself. But what I can say about this is that it has plenty of room to kind of travel within this formation without really even breaking the long term. Long term, I still have to be bearish as long as we are creating a downtrend on a weekly. That has just been the best way to be trading Bitcoin since the genesis, essentially. And anytime we've changed around the trend on a weekly, that has been the major mover for the next, well, usually like 6 months to like a couple of years over the course of history for Bitcoin. All of the big moves have been precipitated on weekly trend reversals. So in this case, we actually won't be able to confirm a reversal on Bitcoin until we actually get back above this prior high right here at about 9,500 from late October, it looks like. So Bitcoin's got a lot of work to do before it even, you know, suggests that we are doing anything different out of the norm of what we've got right now. But that means that Bitcoin can rally up all the way, you know, could rally up $1,000 to 84 to 8,200, could rally up $2,000 to about 9,200. It would actually still not even break the trend, funnily enough. And you can see that we do have this long-term downtrend resistance coming in from our current high of about 14,000 late June, which would be meeting price action around the current trajectory. If you kind of make like a little bit of a regression here, mid 8s, it looks like, kind of around this blue box territory right over here, which is around the 21 exponential moving average on the weekly as well. So as long as we are being governed by that, I don't think that we are macro bullish. I think that we can have, you know, $2,000 move up from here and still not change anything, and that's what makes this quite difficult right now, because the numbers are so big, the ranges are so large, that judging that sort of a thing playing counter trend as it is right now is pretty fucking dangerous. And that's what I really have to say for that. Going over to the 2-day as well, we do see that we had hidden bearish divergence. Actually, whoops, let me get off this right here. So now we're going down a little bit to the lower time frames. We do see that we actually do have hidden bearish divergence initiated between this point and, well, these last 2 points right here. And in fact, this is still kind of making a descending triangle on the lows. So while gold is moving up and could be a foreshadower of a nice move in Bitcoin to the top side of the range, or maybe even just, you know, up here to like 78, 7,900, you know, it's still a little bit under wraps, to be fair. I do think it's a little bit premature to say something like that. I just wanted to show that gold's correlation has been pretty damn good in the past. So what I could say here is that as long as Bitcoin does not break this prior low, which is also the 2-day 377 exponential moving average, and also the 200 simple in this range right here between these two guys, again between about 6,950 and $7,000, you know, we could perhaps see something like that. I do think that is within the cards. However, as I just said, we do have hidden bearish divergence present here. We are making lower highs on price action. We are making higher highs on 2-day RSI. In fact, significant higher highs right here. And typically that is going to force us back down to the low side of the range. In this case, that would be somewhere down around, well, maybe as low as like 6,850 all the way to $7,000, of which yesterday we did have a little bit of an attempt down in that region. We got down to 7,100, not quite all the way there. So I do still think that this is a little bit more experimental than not. This is kind of course, obtuse to what we just looked at on the gold, you know, on the gold correlation, which obviously would suggest that we have some upside from here. So it could be that Bitcoin is going to trade more sideways within this range, and then perhaps later we do actually give a little bit of a try to the upside. And I do think that that is, you know, possible as long as we are above and not breaking this critical, let's call it 6,900 support. You could say basically 6,900 on a 2-day close, or sorry, a 2-day close, or a daily below probably daily below 6,900 does it as well. You know, anything like that is starting to look like continuation. And technically speaking, we are operating within a descending triangle right now on the lows, which is typically a bearish continuation pattern. pattern. So I would be, if I'm just looking at Bitcoin, I actually should be bearish off it. It's gold doing its own thing over there that has me kind of second guessing this. So I want to be very direct and very transparent here. I'm not trading Bitcoin right now. I haven't traded Bitcoin in the last couple of days. I've had a few scalps here and there, but no trend trades, no big trades, nothing like that. I'm not interested in doing that right now as well. I'd rather spend time with my girlfriend's family, and which is not what I'm doing right now apparently. Making these videos, but you know what I'm saying right here. Anyways, of course, on the 2-day, I think that this chart is actually just the most revealing for Bitcoin right now. Getting rid of everything, getting naked on these charts, it can be this simple if you let it be. If we do close a 2-day above the 21 exponential moving average right here, right around 75.50, I would look for a move actually all the way up at the very least to 78, 7,900 in this region right here, but probably actually further into the lower 8,000s, like 83 to 8,500. By the same token, as long as we are held below the 21 exponential moving average, we do have these declining tops right here, of course, and I would be looking for Bitcoin to, well, test the bottom side of the range once again, fulfill that hidden bearish divergence, and from there I would be, well, we have a descending triangle on the lows. If we get any sort of a close below the 200 simple or the 377 right here, again creating a range between about 6,950 and 7,000, especially on a 2-day, even on a daily below 6,900, probably bad enough. Then I'd be looking for continuation down to the next low side of the range. In this case, we actually do have a measure move to be made off of this ascending triangle, which I've already done yesterday. Would suggest a target down into the lower 6,000s, about 61 to 6,200, in fact. So this, if Bitcoin does not follow gold here, this can get a lot more nasty, and we actually can come up with a little bit of a date for this next potential breakout. Just get the volume signature down here. In fact, going back down to a lower time frame, let's see what this is looking like right here. And well, this is going to be a little bit tight because this is, well, you can almost already see what this trend line right here. We do see that this trend line right here governing, those volume spikes, and I'm just highlighting volume, nothing to do with price action right here. We do see that this comes to an apex late January, which implies that it probably breaks early to mid January, so somewhere around like the second week, starting around the second week to third week, something like that. Does imply a strong likelihood for a breakout. Doesn't imply direction, but in this case, because we are in a descending triangle, it would be more bearish than bullish. Of course, we are still downtrending on all higher time frames as well. So if you do kind of extrapolate that out a little bit, you can see that that measure move would be pointing us down here, which would still actually be in line with this ascending trend line, kind of governing our lows for the last 6 months since June, July, essentially. And that would be somewhere, mid to late January at the lower 6,000. So that's if we fail essentially to get back above this region right here. And technically speaking, as a trader, I am actually looking for that more likely to happen, even though gold is breaking out right now. We typically do see a strong correlation between gold and Bitcoin on the higher time frames, but that doesn't mean that they happen at the exact same time. So Bitcoin could get stuck here. I would say that the longer that it goes without breaking 6,900, the better. However, the longer that it goes without breaking this last prior high right here, which is now at about 7,500, 7,550, well, you're still in the downtrend, and all these major moving averages are going to switch on to a very aggressive bearish posturing, of which they pretty much already are, especially on any time frame that's a daily and lower. Looking at the daily right here, I mean, this makes it very difficult. We're stuck between the 10 simple and the yellow 20 max moving average. I'm so glad to not be trading this right now. That's what I really want to say. Let's go over here and check out CME. So CME is telling us anything obvious. So CME's never even got a close above the 21 actually. We got the death cross running over here between the green and the purple. It's 50 and the 200, and we are being held below all major moving averages, and all major moving averages are still downward sloping except for the 10 simple. But I would say that as long as we're below the 21, I can't really be bullish on this price action, even from like a short-term time frame perspective. And CME should be up and trading for the, yeah, they are trading right now, of course. So they actually do have a little bit of premium on price action to spot, in fact. Or are they trading right now? This doesn't look about right, but I don't see that it's closed right over here. It should be open today. Sometime perhaps later today, futures will be back open. Regular U.S. markets should be, they will be open today. It's not a half day either, I believe. I believe that it's full day, in fact. Anyways, looking at CMEs right here, do we see anything on the lower time frames being suggestive? Not really seeing anything obvious. 2 hour, Stokes are pretty beat up on all the lower time frames, looks like, but I don't really see anything obvious here. Unfortunately, this is what makes it very difficult. And during these times, I feel like my edges diminish, so I just don't really trade. Looking at this is spot now, same sort of thing. In fact, we got pretty much the same chart. However, all lower time frame momentum oscillators are starting to get so beat up that does make me a little bit apprehensive for looking for further continuation. We see 1, 2. Yeah, we see 1, 2, 3, and 4 hour Stokes all pointed up right now. So I don't usually like to go against those guys, and I would say that I'm not really sure what to make of this, to be quite honest with you. I think that this is yet again another time to have a healthy dose of I do not know. I do not have a serious bias here. If I'm going off of gold, I think that Bitcoin kind of holds through here. If I'm going off of Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin looks pretty bad here, but fair enough. Anyways, this video's already been 20 minutes long. I'll try to power through this a little bit more. On the lower time frames, we can come up with we can come up with some nice ranges here. So, of course, I want to mark out the obvious areas. We got about 7,000 right here. We got 69. Whoops, we got 69.50 right here. As long as we're above there, there's no real big threat of meltdown on Bitcoin. By the same token, to the upside, it's a little more difficult. Obviously this last prior high right here is going to be a major area of interest. As long as we're below there, we're obviously not even trending on like a 4 hour. But there's a lot of space to fill out here between 72 and 75.50, essentially 7600. So it's not all that helpful, man. This analysis is probably not gonna be that helpful, really. It's more to show that I do not know. I don't really have a strong bias on what's going on right now. And if I was trading ranges, this is essentially how I look at it. As we got this liquid zone to the top right here, liquid zone to the bottom right here. As long as we're within those bounds, technically we're still more bearish than bullish because we're still in the downtrend on all time frames. However, with gold breaking out, I am apprehensive I would be apprehensive to trade like that, to be very clear. What else do we have? Okay, let's go over here to a daily, let's go to a 12 hour as well. Let's start off with 12 hour. 12 hour Stokes still down. Now, 12 hour Stokes have been phenomenally good with Bitcoin over the past year, just blindly trading them. Really good. So, them being down right now typically has preceded all of the multi-$1,000 moves, actually, in fact. So I would say that is still more on the bear side, of course, but do we have enough momentum to be brought down to 7,000? I think so. Do we have enough momentum to break 7,000? That I don't think so. Governed by the lower time frame momentum oscillators. So I do think that Bitcoin probably comes back down here, scrapes this area out a little bit, and then we probably mount like a medium term bounce. So if I really had to call things for me, I would say very short term down, medium term bounce. And judging the bounce is something that we'll have to do in real time. I will not call a target from here. There are some obvious areas where I think price action is likely to top out at. That would be our current liquid zone to the top right here between about 76 and 78 would be the first territory. The second territory would be between 83 and 85. Right, whoops, that's not even that. Hold on, let me get it actually right. There we go. It's gonna be somewhere right around here. There we go. And above there, I'd be looking at this long-term descending trend lines, which is currently coming in around 9,000, it looks like. So, a lot can happen from here. I'll take it one step at a time, really, as Bitcoin kind of starts to figure itself out. But I do want to go back and put the spotlight on the monthly once again, because the monthly and all higher time frames are still quite bearish. Looking at the monthly right here, if the monthly does close below this yellow 21 exponential moving average, I will be very bearish coming into the new year, looking for a move down into the mid to low 5,000s, actually, somewhere around the 55 down here, and perhaps even lower than that over time. Momentum oscillators on a monthly are quite bearish. We do see monthly Stokes rejecting the bullish control zone, down. We see monthly RSI rejecting the bullish control zone, rejecting the exponential, and down. Looks like they want to come back down to the bearish control zone, actually. And I'd say that is that is quite damning. When I was a market maker authorized trader on the floor of New York Stock Exchange ARCA, as a professional trader, I would use the 21 exponential moving average on the monthly to judge if an asset was generally bullish, generally bearish over the long term. And it does seem to work pretty damn well for Bitcoin. Anytime we're above it, good. Anytime below it, bad. And we have a few iterations of that. I would say enough, just enough to really start to make sense of this chart. And as it is right now, Bitcoin is flirting right around with the 21. We are about $100 above it right now, with 4 or 5 days left in the month to go. So that's an eternity in Bitcoin land, unfortunately. So can't really call it right now, man. But if we do end below it, I would be overall bearish. If we do end above it, bullish is not the right term, but not super immediately bearish maybe would be a better term, perhaps. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, again, I don't feel like this analysis is going to be all that helpful. When I don't have a strong opinion on things, I want to be very, very forthright and saying so, because, well, then if you always have a strong opinion about things, just can't really be done, and there's not always something to be done anyway. So again, man, this is about trading. This is not about analysis. This is about having real skin in the game. So yeah, anyways, let's go check out, okay, GBTC has not moved, obviously, because we haven't had a new day. Let's go back to CMEs and see if there's anything obvious here. We fill the gap. Are we going to bounce back a little bit more from there? 4-hour Stokes, still bearish. 3-hour bearish. 2-hour up. Hourly is going to be up. What about low time frame RSI? RSI is pretty bearish on the 4 hours. So lower time frames on CMEs actually do suggest that we can very easily come back down. So yeah, if I did really have to call it right now, I'd say very short term down, maybe 7,000, maybe 6,900, probably bounce somewhere in that region. And that's when the fun begins, where are we going to put in the next high? And as long as the next high is below 9,500 on a weekly closing basis, I am long-term bearish, looking for lower prices on Bitcoin. Let's see, what about a daily on this baby? Yeah, again, we're still below the 21. I would say that it's appropriate to remain bearish on Bitcoin as long as we're closing daily dodos below the 21 exponential average on CMEs, which is currently 7350-ish region. Now I do see that daily Stokes on CMEs are actually pointed north right now, as price action has been rejected from this area. In fact, selling off pretty damn hard from it. So I would say that is a little bit more on the bearish side. But again, we're really splitting hairs here because, well, I'm just figuring out things to talk about. Weekly held below the 89 exponential average, you can see right here. And in fact, I would say that right now, I would be a lot more comfortable with calling it this way. If this next weekly that we are working on right here, which closes on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, closes below the 89 exponential average, which is 7,300, sorry, not 7,300, 7,260 on stamp, then I do believe we will test the low side at the very least 6,900 first before anything else, and we will very likely, well, we'll probably bounce our low time frame, but see continuation overall. By the same token, if we do end above it, I would be looking likely for another try back up to the top side of the range. In this case, that would be somewhere around 7,600 to 7,800, something like that. And then we'll reassess from there. The thing with this is that CMEs obviously close tomorrow for Friday, and CMEs will be able to show us kind of the way, show me the way. And if we do see CMEs close above or below that 7250 pivot that we saw on spot price action, that should be pretty damn insightful for what spot price action is going to do on Sunday, as they typically do trade with each other, and one leads the other, or sorry, CMEs lead spot price, and CMEs again going to be closing their weekly before, a couple days before spot, so we likely do get to see that in advance. The problem is that on CMEs you can't use the same moving averages here because, well, they're grossly different, because we just, CMEs haven't been around it for as long, so we can't really, trust them as much, but we can trust the price action. That is what it can be standardized. That is, well, obviously what the underline is marked off of, duh. Anyways, what else do we have to say about this? I mean, weekly on CME, RSI is bearish, of course. Weekly Stokes bearish. Doesn't just mean that it's gonna like flop on down, but more long-term bearish, I suppose. Weekly Joule, couple of sell signals. I think this last one you could say has played out. We've already seen about more than $2,000 down from that signal, from about 8,800 all the way down to 6,400. So yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, I think you can say that one's probably played out. I don't really have much to say else other than that. Maybe let's go back here to spot and see if historical volatility percentile is suggesting anything, and then we can go look at expected moves. Historical volatility percentile is actually contracting on a 4 hour, so we probably do fill out the range a little bit more on the very low time frames. The range between the lower time frames is between about 6,900 and 70, wherever the 21 is on the daily, which is probably like 73 or 73.50. So yeah, still have a little bit of time to fill that out right there. Here's what an hourly looks like. Hourly is probably contracting quite heavily. Yes, indeed it is. What about like a 12 hour? 12 hour is expanding. Okay, 12-hour expanding would actually suggest that we are still continuing downtrend overall. Now, like I did say, we do have hidden bearish divergence on a 2-day, but that doesn't always suggest that we're going to legitimately break down. It just means that we're usually going to test the downside of the range. In this case, that would be about 6,900. So again, I can't get too bearish here until we actually break 6,900. If we do that though, I would be happy with targeting movement down to the lower 6,000s. Should be also in alignment with the volume profile. Yes, indeed, you do see this last kind of higher value node in the 6,100 region. And of course, that is also synonymous with the measure move off of the descending trunk that we looked at on the lower time frames right here. You do see into this liquid territory down here. So if we do break down, which I don't think happens like today or tomorrow, but you know, if we do, it probably does happen like maybe end of first week, second week of January 2020, then yeah, you know, that's kind of where I'd be looking towards, and probably further over time. By the same token, you know, if gold does, you know, if the correlation with gold does play through, well, I'd look for Bitcoin to kind of flatten out around 7,000, pick itself up by the bootstraps, and give another rally to the upside, attempt to the upside, I should say. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? Let's go check out Bitcoin dominance. I'm curious if the altcoins are still getting boo-caked over here. Yep, they probably should be, because, well, Bitcoin dominance is still massively bullish. Still massively bullish over here. I do think that short term probably moves its way back up to like 71.25%. So altcoin's going to be getting cream pie once again, and longer term massively bullish. Actually, I do think that it moves on to the prior high and beyond. So that would be 72.5%, 73%, and higher over time. Okay, so let's go look at some altcoins just very briefly. I do want to get back over to eating shit tons of food with my girlfriend's family. It's really, really fun. Looking at Cardano, what do we see here? Put in a nice little local low. Actually, not really what you'd expect right now. You know, does it have another rally attempt back up to 480? I don't know about that. Overall, bearish. Short term, does it rally back up, you know, to like 480? I don't have a strong opinion on that. Longer term, I do have a strong opinion about it continuing to the downside of the range and beyond, as governed by the Bitcoin dominance. Stinky Linky. Short term, probably bouncy bounce. Medium to long term, do you think that it does come back down to about 21,000 Satoshis? But again, short term probably does bounce from this region, maybe back up towards, I don't know, 27 or something like that. I don't have a strong opinion on that. But again, Link, you know, over the long period of time, this is an uptrend as compared to, you know, the other shitcoins that we've seen, which are just straight down, flat on their face. Okay, all right. What else we got? Where's my butyrol, please? Down, bearish. Definitely one of the most bearish altcoin pairings, in fact. Do we even have any sort of bullish divergence going on right here? We're going to be building some, but it's not present just yet. Litecoin, Bitcoin, straight flat on its face as well. Next kind of targeted area would be down around here, right around 50, what is this, 530,000 Satoshis, something like that. Again, historical volatility percentile is very, very low on this. So you know, if it does bounce from, let's see where the expansion comes from. But because it is going to be building up some divergences, that expansion actually could come to the upside, to be fair. Again, gonna follow whatever Bitcoin does pretty much. Okay, let's go check out the dollar pairings. What about Mr. Butyrol? 125.5. Did we hit our downside target from yesterday? Almost, not quite. I think I said 123. We got down to 123.75. Still in a downtrend over here. Not the most prettiest chart. See daily Stokes curling down as well. Looks pretty nasty. In fact, following the same trend line. I actually didn't even check the ones on Bitcoin spot price action, but I imagine probably pretty damn similar. So yeah, still have to be bearish on this, man. Looks like it's going to get washed out once again to the prior lows. Maybe even like a weekly down to like 114. It looks overall bad. Again, gonna follow whatever Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin does flatten out and follow gold, then I would expect to see this one flatten out and give a rally attempt as well. But for now, you know, both Litecoin and Butyrol look very bearish to me. Litecoin, same thing, below all major moving averages and nasty. Stellar, what's Stellar doing? 4.5 cents. Downtrend continues. Monero. Why are we even going through the fucking altcoins right now, man? They always look the same. Yeah, okay, so we're just gonna call it off right there. Let's go back on to Mr. Bitcoin. Right around here, and we do see daily stocks getting very tired as they get around the bullish control zone. Let's see if it rejects or not. If we do end the daily below, let's call it 7,200, I do believe we will see that open back up to the downside, and 6,900 would be, or 6,950, give or take a few bucks, it's going to likely be the target. Daily RSI is more bearish than bullish for sure. So yeah, I would say the odds do favor short-term downside at the very least. Medium term, medium term we probably do bounce from that lower end, but long term, it'd still probably be bearish on. But I mean, we could rally up 2,000 bucks from here and still remain bearish. That's the problem with it. So it doesn't really help to be bearish during something like that. Fuck no, it doesn't. Anyways, I'll start to wrap up this talk now. I'm bearish as long as we're below the daily 21. Of course, all major moving averages on the daily right here are bearish. We do see all lower periods below higher periods, just like we saw last time in over here in, what was this, May of 2018. We saw all lower periods cross below, or sorry, we got the death cross right in over here. We got all lower periods crossing below higher periods right here. We got all negative slopes right here. 200 simple starts curl down as well. And Bitcoin gets held below the 21, and as long as Bitcoin's below the 21 on a daily closing basis, it is trending hard to the downside. Very similar to what we're doing right now. Death cross right here. All lower periods moving below higher periods right here. All negative slopes as of right here. 200 simple flattens out, gets a negative slope, of which we're kind of just flat right now, I suppose, but slowly negative. And Bitcoin being held below the 21, it tells me that we're still, still trending to the downside. So I would say that, if I had to call it here, I'd still be looking for downside, actually. I have no reason to be bullish on Bitcoin as long as we are below this past prior high at around 7,500 on a daily to closing basis. As long as we're below there, I am overall bearish. I don't know. I don't really know how much more downside we have from this current territory. But momentum oscillators on a 12-hour and a daily are going to be turning down relatively soon. In fact, let's look at the 2-day really quick. The 2-day reveals all. Look at this. So right as the 2-day Stokes try to get into the bullish control zone, or even just out of the neutral zone, they're going to be met with some pretty staunch resistance once again, and also be fighting some hidden bearish evidence along the way. So again, overall bearish. Medium, do we have a nice bounce off the next test of the downside? Yes, probably, and we'll kind of judge it from there. With that said, I think it's time to start wrapping this bitch up. It's already been almost 40 minutes. Fucking crazy. Anyways, man, I want to wish you a very happy holiday season. Again, no matter which holiday you're celebrating, man, it's all about intent here, and I hope that you're having a swell one, and wherever you are in this world, whatever holiday you're celebrating. If it's just a regular Thursday, have a happy regular Thursday. Really do wish you well, and I want to say massive thank you for all the support, especially with getting awareness on that tweet. Really did help. I know that these things kind of do suck to deal with on the holidays, but at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, man, I don't want to let something like that ruin this this time of year, man. It's there's more important things, of course, and while it does kind of suck, I put a lot of work into this channel. I'm sure that everyone else who's done a YouTube has been doing the same thing. At the end of the day, there's more important things. So just want to reflect on that a little bit, and then also wish you well. I'll be signing off now. I'll be traveling once again a little bit later today, I do believe, if everything goes as planned. And by tomorrow, I should be a little more free to get back on the live streams, to get back on the Twitches, of which there will be a link in the description of this video. And perhaps if we do have resolution on this situation, I will be bringing back all my videos. So again, wishing a very happy one from me to you. Take care, and until next time, my friends.